So it's another Friday, another train ride here in Albany. And once again, we see the Amtrak Cascades coming in. Can't tell from here, but it looks like it might have more cars than usual. It's a little bit late, which normally, you know, it's only 20 minutes late, but that could push over a line of dominoes, and I might modify my plans a little bit when I get to Eugene. And as I always say, at this point I'm going to put the camera down because I need to get on that train. We're pulling out of the station. I've done this ride several times today. I've done this ride several times before, so I don't know how much footage I'll have between here and Eugene. Crossing the Willamette right here. We're now in Lane County. That's good news. And I'm in Eugene. Been here before. And kind of proceeding this way. I would have liked to have spent more time at the train station. But this is one of the times when the lack of modality of the train station is a problem. I'm actually heading along my way to Springfield, and to get there I have to go to the Lane Transit Center a couple blocks this way. BRT bus, I'm going to hop on it real quick. I don't know how clear it is from this view. One thing that's different on this BRT, especially compared to the BRT in Vancouver, this BRT has doors on both sides, and here we have a platform to the left. So it gives more flexibility in where you can put stations and how people can get on. On the other hand, we're still going through intersections and stuff right here. Right here, we can see the BRT going the other way. So here, we actually do have separate lanes, and so we're not traveling in traffic. We still have to go through intersections, but it is more like a BRT and less like an articulated bus. So right there you can see the tracks, or maybe you can kind of see the tracks. So we have own right-of-way, and that's a big thing in transit, separated from the street over there. Crossing the Willamette again. I'm at the Springfield station. My bus just pulled in over there. So in general, this BRT system is more a BRT system than what I saw in Vancouver, what I've ridden in Vancouver. Still has a few flaws that make it not quite as good as basically a train on tires. And then one other thing, this was, until recently, the Greyhound station here as well. Greyhound station actually went back to the main Eugene train station, but they cut down to, as far as I can see, one trip a day, which means I can't get here in the morning on the bus and then go back on the train. So I have a lot more limited of a window to be here. And this is where things like local transit and long distance transit, the problem can kind of compound, because my Amtrak train was just a little bit late. And then, like I said, I had to get to the, the main bus station, and so a lot of that ate up time, and so I'm here later than I could have been. And there's reasons for that. Sometimes multimodal transit centers make sense, sometimes not, but it is something to consider. Anyway, I'm now going to go and see Springfield. This is downtown Springfield, Oregon. Springfield and Eugene are twin cities. They're right next to each other. In most places, you can't tell when you've gone from one to the other. And because Eugene itself is a pretty big city for arts and entertainment, a lot of times Springfield would be a more residential city. But we do see here we have restaurants, stores, stuff going on here. But we don't have to go very far before we're back in a residential area. Low and medium density residential. So, like I said, this Springfield is mostly the residential side. There is a downtown, but a lot of it is residential. Well, that looks like some type of sky bridge up there. I adore a sky bridge, or else it's just a building over a road, which is kind of a sky bridge, but it doesn't look like it connects two things. It looks like it's just there. City Hall. And they say you can't fight City Hall. In this case, it would be a really bad idea because it might fall down on you. And here we have a mural of The Simpsons. This is Springfield. Not only a Springfield, but while the subject has been obscured and debated for decades now, this is, as much as any city is, the Springfield. Matt Groening was an Oregonian. He came from Portland, not from here. But in a lot of ways, this city is what Springfield is based on. Small city, but large enough to have services, you know, have its own television station, stuff like that. But small enough where people can know each other. You can have a local cast of characters. Now, I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but the resemblance is there. So this in my mind is Springfield. And obviously, like, it can't be Springfield, Illinois, because Springfield hates capital city. Duh! Along with the main mural, there's many other Simpsons-themed murals and other murals around the city. And after passing through downtown, seeing like the kind of the commercial center of Springfield, my plan is to see other sides of it. Residential, natural, industrial, and I just hope I know where I'm going. Okay, notice how quickly we left that charming tourist-oriented downtown, across these railroad tracks, and what I'm looking for should be here, I hope. So this is the Mill Race Pass. This is where it's supposed to be, and indeed it looks like it's here. I'm never sure until I actually see it. This is a multi-use path for bicyclists and pedestrians. Goes along many miles. I don't know how much of it I'll see today, but at least some of it. It looks like it just starts here. So right here, we're just a little bit on the path, and we have at least semi-artificial body of water. But that doesn't bother its visitors. Here we have some ducks. I can't tell the type, but they do not look like mallards. We have some other type of ducks here. That could be a hooded merganser, I can't tell. Anyway, so there we already have some natural wildlife going on here, even though it's a bit scrubby. The ducks don't care. So there, we have a big pile of logs. Like I said earlier, Springfield has an industrial base. All of Oregon has an industrial base, a lot of times in extractive industries. Was a logging town for a long time and still is a logging town. So we'll be seeing more of that as we go down this trail. So we have a bridge off to the right. Goes somewhere, but that bridge is definitely closed. And even if it wasn't, I wouldn't want to get too distracted when I have a clear path ahead of me. And it is sometimes or often the case, in a lot of places, industrial facilities actually can preserve nature because they discourage residential neighborhoods. People want to live a little bit of a distance away from that, and that does leave more room for some types of wildlife, although the noise and the activity are probably going to deter a lot of more timid types of wildlife. This right here, is this a beaver dam? It looks a little bit too purposeful to just be, you know, washed there on accident, but it also looks a little bit shoddy for most beaver work. I'm not sure about that. We've also got some embankments here, some concrete supports. Looks like some old posts. There was probably a lot more things built here at one point. What they are now, or what they were, is now a mystery to me. So along with the long line of warehouses and facilities, there's also railroad tracks there. So along this path, if I want to get back on the road, there's only a few intersections along its way. The next one is coming up in like a mile. Sometimes when I'm out on a walk like this, there's a certain feeling of expansiveness. The hours and the miles just kind of seem to drift away. I'm just kind of walking. It's almost like a trance state. Today, not so much. And part of that is that I did have to rush to get here. We'll have to rush to get back, and I'm really kind of looking at the miles, looking at my watch. Could also be the setting, you know, it's not the most solitude I've ever been in. So, you know, it's some walks really work for me and some kind of do. Sometimes I might not think I'm getting there, and then at the end of the walk I realize I really did have an experience that kind of changed me a little. Anyway, so I'm just continuing on. Still have a ways to go. Maybe I'll catch that groove in a while. Well, this looks like something, but the trailhead, the next intersection listed there, is still in 0.4 miles, so still another 5 minutes or so. So all the time I've been traveling, the water has been to my right. And it looks like it's a pretty substantial body of water, although here it might have been kind of pooled out. But most of the time it's not visible because we have a lot of brush to the side of the trail. A lot of that is things like the ever-present Himalayan blackberry, other invasives. So it's kind of a scrubby area, not supernatural. Well, this is our first intersection, and here I'm gonna look at my map. I would like to just be adventurous, but what I don't want to do is, you know, take a trip off of the main east-west route and go south, and then not be able to come back, because the east-west route will also be close to where I can take a bus back. So let's find out. Looks like we have some new construction of homes here too. Indeed, I want to go north on this road for a while because the other way would lead south, which would be a great place if I had the time. But today I'm going to follow this road, and then I'm going to go back on another part of this trail system for a while before turning around and going back to Eugene. On this spot in 1858, Agnes Stewart, the first teacher of Springfield, wrestled a wolf to death to win a bet against local businessman Eugene Skinner. I am a little bit skeptical of this story. I'm going to have to see where this story comes from. But there is a lot of history here in Springfield. When you think about it, Goofus and Gallant really do represent the dialectic. There's a lot of philosophy to be learned at the many little free libraries I come across. So according to Google Maps, this is a continuation of one of the trails. And this is the type of thing, I'm going to back up for a minute, that confuses me. Closed to motor-propelled vehicles, trespassers will be prosecuted. Now, I'm assuming what that means is that trespassers are people who would be trying to drive motor vehicles here. I hope I am not a trespasser. This was listed as a path, but I have to admit, yeah, it does look not quite the idyllic stroll in the dappled shadows of the beech trees that I was assuming. It also smells kind of smoky along here. I think maybe it's just from the factories or maybe from something else. So yeah, not the most pleasant part of my day, but not terrible or anything. So continuing on, things feel all eerie and cyberpunk, I guess. One point, I was talking about The Simpsons earlier, and you know, if we look at these residential neighborhoods, these houses on either side, well, they're one-story homes, but like a lot of one-story ranch homes. This is probably a post-World War II development. A lot of what I guess would have one time been called lower middle-class residential neighborhoods, when the idea of lower middle-class people owning homes was like a normal thing. And so Oregon's population is distributed all over in small towns and big cities, and then in kind of like intermediate sized cities like this. Not super dense housing, but not like, you know, big houses out in the country or something. So medium density housing. A lot of Oregon looks like this, and it's not always shown because most depictions of Oregon will either be of the Portland area or sometimes like of a small coastal town. But a lot of it is like this. Okay, so Google Maps says there was a trail and that the trail crosses over the railroad tracks here. I can cross over the railroad tracks, but I think in this case Google Maps is wrong. This does not look like a safe official crossing. Don't do what I'm doing now, basically. I wouldn't have come this way if I would have known that. Yeah, be very careful around railroad tracks. But it does also look like, I mean, these are real roads. I don't know. This road is 42nd Avenue. Just, I hope. Turn left on that, walk north a little bit, and I'll be back on the main road, catch a bus, back to Springfield, and then back to Eugene. Everything's going pretty much according to plan. It's a little bit after 4 o'clock now, so it's really only been an hour and a half since I started off in Springfield. And here we have what looks like some row housing, duplexes, townhouses, more apartment buildings over there. And I said the same thing when I went to Western Eugene last summer, that, and we just saw that just now, that sometimes in Eugene we had the single family homes in the center of town, and then we actually had the denser housing towards the outskirts. And same thing here, where we had a lot of those ranch homes that looked to be 50s, 60s, 70s a while back. And now we're going into a place where there's new housing that's being built denser. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, this is February, and the temperatures today are pretty nice, probably in the 50s. There was times when I even felt a little bit warm. But you can see the shadows are getting longer. It's about an hour before sunset and things are getting a little bit chilly. But every, pretty nice weather, and every time it's not raining in Oregon in the winter, I do like to let people know about it. So this intersection up here is where I'm heading for. One thing, when I start to make these videos, I don't always know where I'm going. So on one hand, it would have been nice to focus on downtown. Maybe has a few more unique things that I should really focus on. But on the other hand, it's also good to show what a city looks like. There's the cute downtown, then there's the natural areas, there's industrial areas, there's residential areas, and there's low density commercial. So, I hope I've shown a good cross-section, and people can learn something from it. And that was indeed 42nd Street, and this is Main Street, a case where Main Street actually is the main street. And if we follow this road out of town a couple miles, Springfield ends, and after Springfield ends, there's really not a lot except for a few ranger stations, campgrounds and stuff as you cross those mountains until you get to the Bend area. And on another day, when I have a little bit more time, maybe I actually can go to the eastern edge and show where the sidewalk ends. But for now, I'm gonna go catch a bus. We also have a really nice bus shelter here. including with a time schedule that tells me when buses pass by here. They pass by every 15 minutes. Actually, I just missed one as I was walking up, so I have another 6 minutes to wait. The schedule doesn't tell me how long it'll take to get to my destination, but I don't think for long. So I'm just gonna wait for another 5 minutes. There's the bus coming in. Be running because I need to catch that bus there. A BRT left me out here, Lane Transit Center, and I'm going this way. I have about an hour until my Amtrak bus leaves back to Albany, which isn't too much time to get into it too much in this city, especially since it's getting dark, but it does give me a nice cushion, so I'm relaxed and not rushing. And when I was planning the trip, I didn't know exactly how the latencies would line up. You know, if I had a long latency waiting for the bus in Springfield and then another wait waiting for the BRT, that could add up to another half hour. And then I would be cutting it at least a little bit close. But the buses run pretty quick and there's short waits. And that's what's different about a trip here than to some of the other cities I go to, the smaller places with very infrequent transit, is it makes the infrequency and problems with long-term transit or with long-distance transit less of a problem, as I found out. But this was still mostly possible because this is basically what I do. You know, I can build my day around it. For somebody who wanted to casually come to the Eugene area and then leave anywhere outside of downtown, that would be pretty difficult even with the BRT. And some of the bus routes to further out run even less frequently. So it still kind of shows the weakness in the system. And a lot of that could be improved by also better Amtrak service or more frequent Amtrak service. The Amtrak service is fine, doesn't need to be better, it just needs to be more frequent. So those are just some things to think about from a transit point of view. The other point of view, the other thing really is, you know, I've taken quite a few trips to Eugene, and there's the stereotypical Eugene I'm in right now. Hey, look it, there's the Holt Center. We can see David Sedaris or something. Garfunkel and Oates. So there's that side of Eugene. But also there's a lot of industrial Eugene, extraction economy. There's, you know, single family residential homes. Not everybody in this area is a college student. This metropolitan area is not small. There's 300,000 people here. So there are a lot of different sides to the city, and hopefully I showed some, and hopefully also what I showed was representative. You know, parts of Springfield, we had good natural areas, we had a cute downtown. Some of it was like a little bit older, you know, so hopefully that was representative, showing some good and some bad sides. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today, show a lot more of Oregon. And it's only February, and we've already seen a lot, and we're going to see some more. But for now, my last note will probably be when I get to this. There is the Coast Starlight, which I've been on a lot lately. Last time was 3 weeks ago. Silverton, not getting on it today, but hopefully soon. Today I'll be going on a less prestigious service. I'm just going to take a bus back to Albany, but soon. Also, if you're keeping track, which you probably aren't, there is the Oak Ridge Express. That's the bus that goes to, or the Diamond Express to Oak Ridge. Might also take that someday. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to go and wait for the bus. This is where my bus should pull up. 6:15. It will leave just as the sky is getting dark. We'll get back to Albany in the dark and I'll have to wait, but I won't do my usual complaint about that. So the only other thing I was going to say to sum up about what's going on is I'm seeing a lot of Oregon, trying to see every town while I have a chance. And I think it's given me a lot of clarity because there's a lot of political debates about issues. Some of them are very contentious, like housing. And a lot of those opinions are being expressed by people who maybe haven't seen the full spectrum of communities. There's a lot of different types of communities in Oregon, in Northwest Oregon, and just by going out and saying, well, what does Springfield look like? What does Silverton look like? What does Vancouver, Washington look like, etc. I think that a lot of people would really benefit by doing some hands-on research like that. And I guess maybe I might say more about that in future videos, but for now, I'm going to leave it like this.